Hey guys, Tony Vlahos here, Chief Marketing Officer of ExecuNet, and I'm talking today again with Aaron Paul of Acquisition Finders. Hey Aaron,
Hello.
how you doing? Good.
Good.
So we're going to talk to Aaron today about some basics and key steps toward purchasing an existing business. Aaron, what can you share with us?
Sure. I think it's the best way to talk about the steps of buying an existing business is to really relate it to a real estate transaction because most people have bought or sold a house or some investment property or something like that. And really the key steps are all about the same, assuming you have found the right business. So we'll go ahead and make the assumption we found the right company. So now let's just talk about the steps. Well, the first step you want to go through is you want to start researching. So you're going to do some initial due diligence and you're going to visit the house and you're going to, in this scenario, buying a business, you're going to visit the business. You're going to look at financial statements. And then, the second step of that is you're going to go ahead and put an offer out there. So when you put that offer out there, when you buy a piece of property, you have a number in mind and you throw it out there on a piece of paper and you wait for the seller to come back to you. And then buying a business is again very, very similar to that. There's maybe a little bit more detail in how you would value it, but in the end, it's still about the same thing. You have to make a proposal, and then there'll be some negotiations, and you will actually finalize a letter of intent. And just like when you buy a home, you have to have that offer in hand before you can really talk to a bank about getting your financing done. And that's the next step is you have that letter of intent in hand. Let's go ahead and start talking to some banks and see how that goes. Assuming you get your financing done, you want to do all of your due diligence. You want to have an appraisal done. You want to have a home inspection done. So in this case, you're going to do some more due diligence. You will have an appraisal done on the business because the banks are going to make you do that. And then the second or the next step would be once you get all that done and the bank says we're willing to fund this loan, you start with the process of developing a purchase agreement, non-competes, consulting agreements, all of the documents that have to go into the actual closing of the business. And there's a lot of back and forth when you do that with the seller. But in the end, if you have done a good job up front, everybody pretty much knows how this thing is going to end up. And really, the purchase documents are just a mirror and a little bit more legalese of what the letter of intent has in it. And then after that, you make sure everything's final with the bank and you go to the closing table. You have your check in hand and the seller has his keys in hand, just like you would when you buy a house. And you may see the seller at closing, you may not see the seller at closing, but then it's all about transition after that. And so your move-in day. So very, very similar to buying a house, and the key steps are all the same. It's just there's a little bit more detail involved with a few of the steps.
I hear you, but that was a really nice way of organizing it for us, and it sounds achievable. So thanks for that. And all you guys who are watching, by all means, click around and find a link to connect with Aaron. We'll be happy to do that for you. Bye for now.